Well, greetings from Greensboro, North Carolina. I am here at my lake. Well, it's not my lake, but I'm up here, so whatever. Yeah. So for everyone, I got off work today a little bit earlier than usual, so I figure, one, I'm going to work on a video. Two, I'm going to get a little bit of fishing in because I haven't done a whole lot of that recently, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so the point of this video is, have you guys been following what's on the news with UFOs? I mean, in my last video, that was just over a week ago, the Navy announced that they were having to codify their process for reporting UFOs. And my word, ever since then, Tucker Carlson specifically has made 2 more segments talking about stuff that the Navy's released and the Department of Defense, the government in general, has released. So I'm having to play a little bit of catch up here, so let's just jump right into the first video clip. This was on Tucker Carlson on May 3rd, 2019. Check it out.
Well, there's something going on in the skies above us. Even the government isn't certain exactly what it is. Recently declassified documents show that U.S. government has for years maintained a program that investigated the health effects of UFO encounters on those who saw them. Meanwhile, in response to the news that it's crafting a new UFO reporting system, the Navy, the U.S. Navy, has openly admitted to repeated encounters with unusual aerial objects near its bases.
The very first thing that I thought of when I heard this was the famous or infamous Falcon Lake incident, which took place in 1967, I believe, in Manitoba, Canada, where a man was outside doing some gold prospecting. He heard some geese rustling around. He looked over to where the geese were, and there was this big old UFO. He walks up to the UFO turns, and it opens up like this vent that sprays him in. I'll show you a picture of that. Now, to those of you who follow ufology, this is not news to you. You're probably familiar with this case, but this man suffered with health problems till he died, and those sores were in the same grid pattern of whatever sprayed him from that UFO. So he suffered, and those sores would come back too periodically. The other thing that I thought about was, I believe this was in Brazil. There was a long string of UFO cases, UFO close contact cases, where people would be shot by these UFOs with some sort of light weapon, maybe, and they would have some pretty serious health problems as a result of this as well. So, I have to wonder how much of those 2 things I mentioned, and by the way, there are more cases just like this that I haven't mentioned, but I have to wonder how these 2 cases and other cases like it, if that played, how big of a role that played in why the Navy is concerned over the health ramifications of close contact with these UFOs. The other interesting thing is, they're pretty much admitting that we humans have had close contact with them. I mean, they are implicitly admitting that, at least. It seems to me, at the very least. Okay, I'll shut up now, so back to Tucker.
Nick Pope investigating UFO sightings for the UK Ministry of Defense. He's been dismissed by others as a conspiracy nut. Turns out he wasn't. He was totally right. And he joins us tonight. We're glad to have him. So, Nick, first to the news that the U.S. government has investigated the health effects of contact with UFOs. What does that mean?
Well, this is a part of the Pentagon's ATIP program that studied these unexplained phenomena, and it's a part that we haven't heard much about. Everyone's been concentrating on the videos of the Navy jets chasing the UFOs, but if you go back to Harry Reid's letter to the Department of Defense, he describes this in terms of the human interface and human effects aspect of the program. And then recently, more recently, when the DIA wrote to Congress about this, in amongst all the papers on exotic propulsion systems that they produced was a paper entitled Field Effects on Biological Tissues. And it seems as if what they were interested in is the effects of all this on the people that witnessed it. And I understand that this involved, for example, things like blood samples, DNA tests, and other medical tests and procedures.
So, I mean, what this really tells us is that UFO encounters are so common that they worried about the health effects of those encounters on Americans. So there's really no question that the U.S. government has known for a long time that something profound is going on. I'm not saying they know what it is, but they've lied about that. Why have they lied about that for so long? It's bewildering.
Well, I think there are very difficult defense and national security issues here. And there is also this blurring of the lines. We don't know, we really don't, whether with some of these things we're talking about Russians, Chinese, right, or something from, shall we say, farther afield than that. And so there's embarrassment. The other point is you can't say we've lost control of our own airspace. But I did a cold case review on a case in the UK where it turned out some military witnesses were probably exposed to UAP radiation. Now, UAP is the British government term for UFO, unidentified aerial phenomena, and these people are now trying to get medical settlements for health issues that they attribute to these close encounters.
It's almost like there's a whole kind of parallel worlds going on where these stories are addressed, but the rest of us are not even aware of it. And we sort of know that there are these UFO nuts, but it turns out lots of sober, well-educated people have been devoting an awful lot of time to studying this stuff for decades. And I'm just amazed that we didn't know.
Well, the Ministry of Defense was studying it, the Department of Defense here and the Defense Intelligence Agency, and of course, as you said in your introduction, just last week the Navy have announced a new policy on this to encourage their pilots and their radar operators to come forward and speak out, to destigmatize it. I support that. It's unfortunate that we're not going to get, apparently, the data that's actually produced under this. I hope we can get unclassified summaries, and I certainly hope we can get, for example, a copy of the guidance that they say they've just issued on this, because that will give us some clues as to what's going on here.
Why the hell isn't the Today Show leading with this every morning for the next 10 years? Is there a more interesting story? I don't think there is. Nick Pope, I know you agree with that. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely I do. And look, you know, if the Navy want to diffuse all this UFO hysteria, all they have to say is, look, we're just talking about aircraft and drones, but they don't.
Yeah, no, they don't. Telling. Nick Pope, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I would really, really like to know more about these encounters that Nick Pope is talking about. I want to know specific details about these cases that they're talking about, where people have had health issues that they want settlements for due to close contact with UFOs. Because while there are a few cases that I'm familiar with, they're kind of few and far between. And I suspect that the cases that he's talking about are ones that you and I have never heard of before. So one other point I'd like to mention is that, well, a lot of people are skeptical of Fox News. I get it. I'm not going to go there, but Fox News is not the only news company, the national news company, the only one that's talking about this. CNN, RT, there's been quite a few that have been covering this phenomenal story, but I do feel like Fox News, particularly Tucker Carlson, has done a more comprehensive look at this than any of the other stations. here's the other segment that I wanted to catch up on. It's Tucker Carlson again, and this was on a May 6th broadcast 2019, which is 2 days ago from when I'm recording this. So check this out.
Life on other planets. Apparently, a lot of people who do work in the U.S. government, which secretly over the years, we now learned, has spent millions on a program that investigated UFO reports. So what did they find, and does that he joins us tonight with the outcome? Hey, Brett.
Hey, Tucker. Yes, we have fearlessly reported on previous reports of UFO sightings, or what the military sometimes calls unexplained aerial phenomena, detailed by Navy pilots and other members of the military. Now, it's a situation that the Pentagon piqued the world's interest in when they released some declassified documents that made it clear the government is keeping an eye on the skies and potential UFOs a bit closer than anyone would have expected. Now, that release included the now infamous video from 2017 of what is clearly some kind of flying object that honestly does not match any of the physics I remember learning about or any aircraft design any of us have ever seen outside of science fiction. But the story actually got a little more interesting. It turns out former U.S. Senator Harry Reid of Nevada put together a multi-million-dollar investigation into the Pentagon's UFO files, and it included a real-life Fox Mulder tasked with cataloging not just those documents related to UFO reports, but also to collect actual debris.
So here's something I thought I would never say. Attaboy, Harry Reid.
In fact, a company was hired to modify buildings in Las Vegas to store metal alloys and other materials that were reportedly from sites where these unexplained events happened. Now, people who have had encounters have been tested for any physical changes. Military personnel were interviewed about what they saw. Now, we know what some of them saw from the 2017 video captured over the Pacific, when multiple military officers confirmed this mysterious sighting, including pilots and radar technicians. Now, the program to catalog then revealed to the public what was found has been canceled. Tracking UFOs by the military isn't stopping. In fact, they're going to keep it for a simple reason. The military needs to know who is doing this and what their intent is. Now, unfortunately, this means we may not get to see those detailed reports, those mind-blowing videos, or as one of the pilots said of something seen out his window, truly radical technology. All the data they collect may simply end up in a chart that shows an uptick in sightings and their locations as we all collectively wait for those documents to be declassified. I want to know where it's coming from, and I want a tour of this warehouse to see these metal alloys. This is kind of amazing.
Well, since they say they have multiple sightings per month.
Yeah, this isn't like a once a year, or maybe you can't excuse it as a falling star. This is happening a lot.
No, it's not a drunk guy in a field in New Hampshire. No.
These are very well-trained pilots and military personnel.
Yeah, guys with nuclear payloads who are kind of sober.
You're hoping they know what they're looking at, and I want to know what they're seeing.
I do too. Brett Larson, thank you very much.
Hey everyone, Drew here from Mad Cat Mysteries, and I hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. If you did, you can click on the subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.